Full text free+Rebirth+Vest+Group Pet+Chasing sister Crematorium+Cute treasure. Before his rebirth, Fu Xingxing was the true daughter of the Fu family who had been left behind. After being retrieved, his father did not love his mother, and his fiancée withdrew from his marriage. He was also despised by the 5 elder brothers. Big brother. Fu Xingxing looks really ugly. Second brother. Fu Xingxing, this shrew. Third brother. Fu Xingxing is a big rascal. Fourth brother. Fu Xingxing is really arrogant and domineering. Brother Wu. You're all right. After her rebirth, Fu Xingxing's vest fell to the ground. A skilled doctor, a gold medal screenwriter, a genius racing driver, the founder of a well-known makeup brand, the CEO of 100 internet-famous restaurants, a super internet celebrity who became popular all over the internet. Her brothers chased her sister at the crematorium and spoiled her directly. Big brother. Our stars are the most beautiful in the world. Second brother. Our family stars are the gentlest in the world. Third brother. Our family stars are the most talented in the world. Fourth brother. Our family stars are the most understanding in the world. Wu Gu. Our family stars. Hello. You have finished speaking all the words, what am I saying? My ex-fiancée also joined in the fun and said, our family stars. A certain boss gave a murderous look and said, it's my star. 5-year-old baby. Yes. It's me who made it. Keywords of the novel. All staff crematorium. After the rebirth of a true daughter, she went crazy without a pop-up window. All staff crematorium. After the rebirth of a true daughter, she went crazy with killing. Download the full text. All staff crematorium. After the rebirth of a true daughter, she went crazy with killing. Latest chapters to read. Chapter 1. The funniest jokes of the year. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The funniest jokes of the year within Kyoto Hospital. Sitting on the hospital bed, Fu Xingxing had a prominent and fresh burn on her face. She was already in pain, but the scolding in her ears kept going. Fu Xingxing, if you can't cook, don't do it. There are plenty of cooking aunties at home, what do you need to show off? You better pray that Rui is okay. If she has any mishaps, I'll be the first to kill you. The one who is scolding Fu Xingxing is the fourth brother Fu Zixiao. About half an hour ago, Fu Rui pulled Fu Xingxing and coquettishly said, Xingxing, I want to learn how to cook. I heard you are very good at cooking, why don't you teach me? Fu Xingxing originally refused, but was stubborn and had to agree. Who knew that this ignorant guy would pour water into hot oil? Suddenly, a sizzling sound sounded, and hot oil and water splashed everywhere. Fu Rui shouted, ah! She immediately dodged back, and even more outrageously, she used Fu Xingxing as a shield. So, Fu Xingxing had a large area of burns on his face, while Fu Rui estimated that it was just sporadic oil splashing on his arm. The first person to rush into the kitchen at that time was Fu Zixiao, the fourth brother. He excitedly grabbed Fu Rui and was extremely concerned, saying, how are you? Rui. Where did you get hurt? Then he gave Fu Xingxing a fierce glare and said, Fu Xingxing, what did you do? You actually hurt Rui. Then, surrounded by a group of people, Fu Rui was hurriedly taken to the Kyoto hospital where his second brother Fu Ziwei was located. As for Fu Xingxing, she was in place, covering her face in pain, but no one paid attention. Finally, the servant at home couldn't bear to watch anymore and quickly grabbed Fu Xingxing, saying, Miss Star, your face is seriously injured and you need to go to the hospital immediately. I'll see you off. Then, Fu Xingxing arrived at Kyoto Hospital in the butler's electric scooter. At this time, Fu Rui was undergoing an examination in the emergency room, while his fourth brother Fu Zixiao, worried, constantly insulted Fu Xingxing. Damn it. You're pouring hot oil on Rui Rui. I see you're just jealous of Rui Rui's beauty. Fu Xingxing, be less ugly and more mischievous. Give me some peace, otherwise, no wonder we kicked you out of the Fu family. She splashed hot oil on Fu Rui Rui. This is the funniest joke that Fu Xingxing has heard this year. She just smiled and slightly pulled the burn on her face, causing her to grimace in pain. And the fourth brother, Fu Zixiao, immediately became anxious and said, Fu Xingxing, how dare you still laugh? She must have been intentional. In Fu Xingxing's impression, the fourth brother Fu Zixiaoping was silent and had a cold expression. He could be said to be an ascetic iceberg beauty. Today, he turned into a talkative man because of Fu Ruirui. Even as he stared at Fu Xingxing and approached step by step, his tightly clenched fist seemed to be about to hit someone. Fu Xingxing, however, was not afraid anymore. She sneered coldly and said, "What's wrong? You want to hit me?" She, Fu Xingxing, lives a lifetime and is no longer the little white rabbit that can be slaughtered by others. In her previous life, Fu Xingxing was pure and kind-hearted. After being recognized as a member of the Fu family, she was ostracized and oppressed by them due to her rural upbringing and ugly appearance. However, she dared not speak up and even tried to find problems with herself, trying her best to integrate into this family. What's even more incredible is that the Fu family started to decline after taking Fu Xingxing, a wandering true daughter, home. Originally, Fu Xingxing had nothing to do with her, but as a result, a fortune teller suddenly emerged from somewhere, claiming that Fu Xingxing was a broom star. After being detained in a pile of poop pots, she was kicked out of the Fu family gate and even subjected to a full online attack. In the end, Fu Xingxing became depressed and swallowed 3 bottles of sleeping pills, committing suicide. After her death, Fu Xingxing was bound to the quick pass cheat system. After completing all the designated plain tasks in the system, she will receive a privilege to return to the first world with all the skills in the quick pass world. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Dad doesn't hurt, mom doesn't love, brothers come to hurt. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Dad doesn't hurt, mom doesn't love, brothers come to hurt. Although Fu Zixiao, the fourth brother, is only 21 years old and still studying at Kyoto University, he is 185 centimeters tall with distinct and profound facial features. His handsome and cold face exudes a strong aura, especially the fierce gaze locked on Fu Xingxing, giving people an invisible sense of immense oppression. In the previous life, among the 5 brothers, Fu Xingxing was the one he feared the most. I never hit women. But you're an exception. As he spoke, Fu Zixiao approached Fu Xingxing, raised his big hand, and watched as he was about to fan him down the next moment. At this moment, a voice came from the next door. Rui Rui, are you awake? Fu Zixiao immediately waved his sleeve and dropped a sentence. I'll settle accounts with you in the future. Then he went to the next door without looking back. Perhaps because the hospital's sound insulation effect was too poor, Fu Xingxing could hear the conversation next door clearly. Rui Rui, the doctor said your injury is not serious. Apply medicine well and you can recover in a week. It's okay, Rui Rui. You scared us to death. Blame Fu Xingxing for being so ugly. She knows how to trick you every day. Rui Rui, as long as you say one word, we will immediately drive her out of the Fu family. Upon hearing this, Fu Ruirui's delicate voice rang out, brothers, I'm really okay. I'm not as fragile as you imagine. By the way, where's the star? How is she? Is she injured? Second brother Fu Ziwei sighed and said, Rui Rui, you're just too kind. You're like this, you still care about her. Exactly. What did she do to you? The fourth brother, Fu Zixiao, was speaking arrogantly. She really wants to kill you. Just leave her alone. Rui Rui, tell us the truth, was it intentional by that woman Fu Xingxing? Brothers, don't blame the stars, she didn't mean to. Fu Ruirue repeatedly emphasized, the stars are your real sister, I'm just an outsider. Brothers, don't let me affect your sibling relationship because of me. I'm fine. Fu Ruirue's words became more and more exaggerated, and her voice almost choked up. I've been thinking a lot lately, I want to move out. Immediately, several brothers were extremely excited. No way. If you want to get out of the Fu family, it's also Fu Xingxing, this ugly woman. In our hearts, you are our biological sister. As for Fu Xingxing, who is so ugly, she should go back to her countryside. Although reviving his life, hearing such hurtful words again, Fu Xingxing touched the position of his heart. The heart still hurts. But there is a difference. She sees everything clearly, and will never regard Fu Ruirue as a good sisters again, fooled by the top green tea. Speaking of Fu Ruirue, she is 18 years old and was born on the same day and month as Fu Xingxing. She is the adopted daughter of the Fu family. 12 years ago, 6-year-old Fu Xingxing and his mother Chen Shuqin went shopping and were abducted. Although the Fu family has 5 sons, they only have one daughter, so the old man of the Fu family dotes on this granddaughter in every way possible. Chen Shuqin was afraid of the old man's blame and hid everything. He went to the Leziju orphanage and found a little girl who was almost the same body and face as Xiao Fu Xingxing. She was even born on the same day of the same year and month. Then Chen Shuqin took her back to the top bag. As a result, it was packed for 12 years in a blink of an eye. I thought this matter could be kept hidden for a lifetime, until a month and a half ago. Fu Ruirue was admitted to the emergency room in an accidental car accident. When he learned that a blood transfusion was needed, even Mr. Fu, who is 70 years old, raised his hand to sign up. However, he was surprised to find out. Including Mr. Fu, his father, his mother, and 5 brothers from the Fu family, not a single blood type matched Fu Ruirue. Originally, Fu's father had type A blood and Fu's mother had type O blood. They would never have given birth to children with type B blood. And Fu Ruirue happens to have type B blood. Gue Gigi's new book is coming hot, welcome little cuties to join us. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. I want to divorce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I want to divorce. Upon learning about this matter, Mr. Fu was furious and personally investigated, but within half a month, he found Zhang Xingxing, who was adopted by a farmer in Zhangjia village. Mr. Fu personally brought his granddaughter back and changed her name to Fu Xingxing. When taken away by the Fu family, Fu Xingxing's friend Zhang Cueyun looked envious and said, Xingxing, I envy you so much. This Fu family is among the top 5 on the Kyoto rich list, you're going to post it. Sisters, if you want to be rich and noble, don't forget each other. As a result, after coming to the Fu family for a month, Fu Xingxing discovered that things were not what Zhang Cueyun had imagined. In the Fu family, besides being loved by Mr. Fu, Fu Xingxing is simply not loved by her father or mother. 5 brothers come to hurt her. It is Fu Ruirue, a fake daughter with a few brushes, who has won the favor of the Fu family's 2 elders and 5 brothers alone. At this time, in the Fu family, in the room of Fu Xingxing. She stood in front of the floor mirror, intending to apply medicine to herself, but when she saw herself in the mirror, she couldn't help but sigh and say, ah. It's quite ugly. The dark skin, black freckles around the nose, and almost all of the face including the forehead, corners of the mouth, and cheeks are acne, with white pus inside, which is quite disgusting. Plus the newly added burn, it's really ugly. But since life is over again, it's time to make a change. With this thought in mind, accompanied by a hurried knocking on the door, a concerned voice came. Star, are you there? Opening the door, Fu Xingxing saw a concerned face. It's Grandpa. Fu Zongxiang. He saw the eye-catching burn on Fu Xingxing's face and quickly stepped forward. I just heard that you were injured this afternoon, so serious. Let's go. I'll take you to the best hospital. Please hire the best doctor. Fu Xingxing quickly stopped the excited grandpa and said, No, no, no. No, no, grandpa. I have already been to the hospital. Look, I just took some medicine. After speaking, Fu Xingxing also showed off the ointment in his hand. Fu Zongxiang breathed a little sigh of relief, but suddenly remembered something and still looked worried. You're okay with this injury elsewhere? What if there's a scar on your face? Actually, Fu Xingxing's facial features are not ugly. Skin color and acne are minor issues, and the biggest problem in the later stage is the burn on the face. Everywhere he goes, he is ridiculed, causing Fu Xingxing to become increasingly insecure. But at this moment, Fu Xingxing didn't have to worry at all. Grandpa, Kyoto Hospital is a good hospital in the country. The one who showed me is an expert, and the medicine prescribed is definitely the best. The expert said they won't leave scars, so they definitely won't. As he spoke, the scene of the hospital came to mind in Fu Xingxing's mind. She and Fu Ruirui arrived at Kyoto Hospital one after another, but the difference in treatment was not insignificant. There are 5 doctors who have shown Fu Ruirui the injuries, all of whom are experts, while the one who has shown Fu Xingxing the burns is an intern doctor who has just arrived at the hospital for less than a week. As for the ointment prescribed by the intern, Fu Xingxing threw it directly into the trash can on his way home. And the ointment she just applied was made by herself. If nothing unexpected happens, her wound can heal within a week without leaving any marks. Upon hearing this, Grandpa Fu Zongxiang completely let go of his worries and said, That's good. Looking at Fu Xingxing again, he had a spoiled smile on his face and said, Our Xingxing has such a beautiful face, there can't be any problems. From my eyes to my nose and mouth, they all look so alike. Fu Zongxiang saw the shadow of his long-deceased spouse on Fu Xingxing. As he was daydreaming, suddenly Fu Xingxing said, Grandpa, I want to get married. Can you help me? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Ugly Woman of the Heartwarming Thief. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Ugly Woman of the Heartwarming Thief. Speaking of Fu Xingxing's marriage, it was given by Fu Zongxiang. The Qin family and the Fu family have been friendly since the generation of the old man, so when Fu Xingxing was still in his belly, the Fu old man married the Qin family through fingertips and said, Old Qin, if this child is a granddaughter, I will marry your grandson. Before Fu Xingxing was recognized, the recognized daughter-in-law of the Qin family was always Fu Ruirui. But Fu Zongxiang felt that since Fu Xingxing had returned, the person who was engaged to the Qin family should be replaced by Fu Xingxing. Regarding this, Mr. Fu also sought the opinion of Fu Xingxing. Fu Xingxing nodded without hesitation at that time. So, at this moment, Fu Zongxiang suspected that his ear was wrong and repeatedly asked, Star, what did you say? Divorce. Fu Xingxing's gaze was incredibly resolute. Yes. Grandpa, I want to divorce Qin Haolei. But don't you really like Qin Haolei? Fu Zongxiang remembers very clearly that it was Fu Xingxing who told him personally that she fell in love with Qin Haolei at first sight. Otherwise, he would not have changed his engagement without reason. Fu Xingxing answered without hesitation, Grandpa, I've figured it out. It's not sweet to twist too hard. Qin Haolei's dislike of Fu Xingxing is a matter that can be seen by blind people, let alone Fu Zongxiang. It was only to make up for Fu Xingxing that Fu Zongxiang took the initiative and forcibly tied Fu Xingxing and Qin Haolei together. He even decided to hold a triple celebration next week at his 70th birthday banquet, announcing Fu Xingxing's daughter's identity and then announcing her engagement to Qin Haolei. But you. Fu Xingxing interrupted Grandpa's words with a chuckle and said with great ease, Grandpa, actually, after thinking about it recently, I don't seem to like him that much. So, while I'm still young, let go early so that I can find a better person. Grandpa, just promise me, okay? Today, Fu Xingxing was coquettishly holding Grandpa's arm. For a moment, Fu Zongxiang couldn't resist and immediately nodded. Since you've made a decision, Grandpa will do it according to you. I'll call Lao Qin right now. Before Fu Zongxiang left, a agile figure flashed past the door. After a long time, the figure finally walked out. It was Fu Zichen, the fifth brother. He muttered to himself, what kind of tricks does Fu Xingxing, this witch, want to do? First, she struck a mandarin duck and inexplicably broke up the couple of Rui and Qin Haolei. As a result, she wants to withdraw from the marriage. There must be a conspiracy. No way. He needs to tell the others immediately. After a while. After Fu Zichen finished speaking about his background, he immediately exclaimed with righteous indignation, that ugly person, he has some self-awareness. She'd better not play tricks and obediently withdraw from the marriage. That's right. The second brother Fu Zi agreed, looking at Fu Rui with a loving gaze. Rui and Qin Haolei are a perfect match. But at this moment, one of the parties involved, Fu Rui, was lost in thought. Which song did Fu Xingxing sing? What does she want to do? Speaking again, Fu Rui spoke in T language and said, brothers, don't say that. Our star has a slightly darker skin and more acne, but in fact, she is not ugly either. Rui, don't speak for her. The person who spoke this time was his elder brother Fu Zirui, who was usually quiet and rarely spoke. As the youngest deputy chief physician at Kyoto University, Fu Ziwei agreed, that's right. This is not the first time she has framed you. Fu Xingxing, a woman who not only looks ugly but also has a malicious heart, you'd better keep your distance. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Black History of Rural Maidens. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Black History of Rural Maidens. Fu Xingxing has only been with the Fu family for over a month, and in the eyes of the 5 brothers of the Fu family, she has framed Fu Rui no less than 10 times. On the second day after Fu Xingxing came to Fu's house, Fu Rui took her to go shopping with good intentions, but as a result, she almost got hit by a car. On the 8th day of Fu Xingxing's visit to Fu's house, Fu Rui was pushed to the ground by Fu Xingxing and had a broken arm. On the 11th day of Fu Xingxing's visit to the Fu family, Fu Rui was maliciously scratched on the cheek by Fu Xingxing. Thinking of this, the 5 brothers of the Fu family can no longer sit still. Fu Zichen stood up directly and said, no way. In order to protect Rui, we must drive away that stinky woman Fu Xingxing. The 5 of them have one heart, yes, but the problem is Grandpa. Can Grandpa agree? The second brother, Fu Ziwei, spoke up. Isn't she just relying on Grandpa's support? Otherwise, could she be so reckless? After all, my grandfather currently holds the main say in the Fu family. He said 1, but no one dares to say 2. Sango Fu Zi was wearing a pair of golden-rimmed glasses, holding his cheek with one hand and pondering seriously, then we can't let her throw tantrums at our Fu family. We must find a way to cure her. Isn't that easy? I'll make it difficult for her to stay at our Fu family. Fu Zichen, the 5th brother, was so confident. I have 100 ways to make her feel worse than death. But the 4th brother Fu Zixiao shook his head and said, no. It's useless to just tease her. Undoubtedly the person with the highest intelligence in the Fu family, he immediately thought of something and continued, what we need to do is to make Grandpa completely disappointed with her. Yes. This is the effect she wants. Fu Rui was filled with satisfaction in her heart, but she still pretended to be a good person on her face. Brothers, I'm not worth it for you to do this to me. You must not do this. If you drive the stars out of the Fu family, I will have a guilty conscience for a lifetime. You promised me never to do this, okay? Even Fu Ruerue pretended to threaten, if the stars go, then I will go too. Fu Xingxing, who was outside the door, came out to drink water. As she passed by the corridor, she happened to hear the complete conversation and couldn't help but cut. She shook her head and cursed, "These idiots have been fooled around without realizing it. They are so stupid." From Fu Ruerue almost being hit by a car, falling and breaking her arm, scratching her face with a sharp object, to today's oil burn, the whole process has nothing to do with Fu Xingxing, it was all done by Fu Ruerue himself. But the crying child has milk to eat, and what Fu Ruerue said about this green tea is believed by those scumbags. For example, at this moment, Fu Ruerue stood up and pretended to advise, "Brothers, remember my words, don't hurt the stars or your sibling relationship for me. You are the family, and as an outsider, it's not worth it." Then, with tears in her eyes, she left the scene. But leaning against the wall at the door, her face showed a malicious expression. Inside, the 5 brothers were indeed engaged in a heated discussion. "No way. Ruerue is our family, I don't want that ugly little sister like Fu Xingxing to be my sister. It's embarrassing to say it out loud. It's not a shameful thing now. If this calamity persists for a day, Ruerue and our entire Fu family will not be peaceful. Isn't it just driving her away? It's simple, dig out all her black material. She's a rural girl, what kind of dark history can she have? We can make it without it. Isn't this easy?" End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Execution according to the original plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Execution according to the original plan. After dealing with the 5 brothers, Fu Ruerue entered his room and immediately contacted the next target of exploitation. Qin Haolei. As soon as the phone rang twice, Qin Haolei's voice came over, with a hint of excitement. "Ruerue." That made a friendly call. Fu Ruerue also called out coquettishly, "Haolei." The crisp and numb voice made Qin Haolei on the other end of the phone very excited. After only a few pleasantries, Fu Ruerue went straight to the topic and asked, "Haolei, have you heard about the divorce?" Qin Haolei immediately nodded like pounding garlic and said, Grandpa just told me that ugly guy is going to divorce me." "Great. Ruerue, after we divorce, we can be together again. It's really a blessing from heaven." When Qin Haolei learned that his fiancée Ae had changed from Fu Ruerue to Fu Xingxing, a scene flashed in front of him. The white swan had turned into a toad. Just thinking about it makes me feel extremely nauseous. Through the phone, Fu Ruerue could feel Qin Haolei's cheers, but she poured a basin of cold water and said, "Haolei, we can't be too happy too early." "Why? You also know that you are tall, handsome, and gentle. Fu Xingxing likes you so much that she can easily give up." But after much thought, Fu Ruerue didn't know what Fu Xingxing really wanted. Qin Haolei paused for a moment and said, "Ah. Will she go back on her word?" So he wasn't happy for nothing. What should we do?" Qin Haolei sigh. "That ugly monster has acne all over his face, like a toad. I feel nauseous when I see him. If you want me to marry such an ugly monster?" "Absolutely not. I must withdraw. Ruerue, the person I like from beginning to end is you. If I were with her, I might as well die." Fu Ruerue immediately started pretending and said, "Shoo, don't talk nonsense. Haolei, promise me that you won't say that word again. In the future, anything, including me, I will always stand with you." Qin Haolei was deeply moved by these words. He had already stood up excitedly while sitting and said, "Ruerue, I love you. No one can stop us from being together. It's really not possible, let's elope." 20-year-old Qin Haolei was still incredibly foolish. "Ruerue, believe me, even if you put in all your efforts, I will still make you happy. But are you willing to live a difficult life with me?" "Of course not. Fu Ruirui showed a disdainful expression. After Fu Xingxing was recognized and returned to the Fu family, she was afraid that the true daughter would compare her to others, and she would lose favor from then on. So, she planned all of this with the aim of stabilizing her position as a fake daughter of the Fu family and living a worry-free life with her clothes and food. Of course I would. Fu Ruirui said incoherently, but there's no need. We don't need to take this step until we have other options. All the groundwork ahead is for throwing bricks and attracting jade at this moment. Fu Ruirui blurted out, Haole, for our happiness, remember. Everything must be executed according to the original plan. That's right. Before being divorced, Qin Haole and Fu Ruirui made a series of plans to divorce Fu Xingxing. At the beginning, the engagement had already been terminated and the plan could be cancelled. But after listening to Fu Ruirui's words, Qin Haole was once again brainwashed successfully. Without hesitation, he nodded and agreed, okay. Ruirui, I'll listen to you for everything. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Embracing a Thick Thigh. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Embracing a thick thigh in Fu Xingxing's room. She lay in bed, with her phone attached to her ear, playing with the little frog doll in her hand while chatting with her friend Zhang Zueyan, who was far away in Xingjiakan. Listening to Fu Xingxing's experience, Zhang Zueyan was filled with righteous indignation and exclaimed, the Fu family is not a good person. How could they bully you like this? Why did they bring you back in the first place? What kind of thing? Star, don't worry. When I get into Kyoto's university, I'll be your support. Upon hearing this, Fu Xingxing chuckled and quickly nodded, okay. Thighs, then you need to develop well and let me hold on to a thick thigh as soon as possible. As the two were chatting and laughing, there was a knocking sound at the door. Buckle buckle buckle, Star, can I come in? Through the door panel, came the voice of Fu Ruirui pinching her throat. Fu Xingxing opened the door and saw a face full of fake smiles. At this moment, Fu Ruirui held a fruit platter in her hand and shouted with a smile, Star, what are you doing? As she spoke, she instinctively looked in and found that there was only Fu Xingxing in the room, so it was likely that she had been talking on the phone for a long time. Just at the door, she listened to the corner of the wall for 5 minutes, but unfortunately, the sound insulation was too good and she didn't hear anything specific. She only heard Fu Xingxing laughing loudly. Fu Xingxing didn't answer the question and directly asked, do you have anything to do with me? I'm here to apologize to you. Today's accident was entirely my fault. It was me pulling you to learn how to cook, and it was also my improper operation that caused it. As a result, my brothers even said you. I'm sorry. Fu Ruirui apologized and immediately brought fruit. Without waiting for Fu Ruirui to speak, Fu Xingxing sneered coldly and said, Ha! What's the point of telling me this now in front of so many people in the hospital? Fu Ruirui was stunned. What's wrong with Fu Xingxing? At first, when she heard that she was going to bring back the true daughter of the Fu family, Fu Ruirui was a bit worried. Afraid that the true daughter would compare her to her, and she would lose favor and even be kicked out of the Fu family. But Fu Xingxing has been back at Fu's house for less than a week, and through several moves, it seems that she has been overthinking everything. This Fu Xingxing is not only ugly, silly, and easy to deceive, but also not a match for himself. So, in the month she returned to the Fu family, Fu Ruirui established her position in the Fu family, while also causing Fu Xingxing to suffer a lot. In these few days, Fu Ruirui felt that Fu Xingxing had changed. It's like a different person. But after only hesitating for a moment, Fu Ruirui quickly reacted, squeezed out a few tears, and then looked pitiful. I'm sorry, Star, this is all my fault. I'll explain it to them now. Can Fu Xingxing not know what abacus she is using? Even if Fu Ruirui tries to force an explanation now, the foolish brothers of the Fu family will definitely still throw the blame at Fu Xingxing. They must feel that Fu Xingxing is coercing Fu Ruirui. So, Fu Xingxing sighed silently and quickly stopped. It's okay. The next sentence is, since the apology is over, you can leave now. That's great. I know, Star, you definitely won't be angry with me. Fu Ruirui really changed her face faster than before, with tears in her eyes just now, and now she's smiling again. As she was about to arm herself, Fu Xingxing took a step back, distancing himself from her. His tone was also extremely cold. No. She apologized, but Fu Xingxing had the right to choose whether to forgive. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Disney Escape Prisoner. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Disney Escape Prisoner. Damn ugly. Surprisingly, you're still playing tricks with me. I apologized to her. Did she really consider herself human? Dare to fight me. There's no door. Fu Ruirui thought maliciously, but spoke kindly and advised, Star, don't be angry. Look. I personally cut some fruits for you, try them quickly, they are so delicious. Are you still feeling frustrated? I'll take you shopping tomorrow. Eating delicious food, buying and selling, it's all my treat, how about it? When saying this, Fu Ruirui deliberately increased the volume as his mother Chen Shuqin passed by. He even sent out an invitation. Mom, do you want to come with us? Fu's mother, Chen Shuqin, regretfully refused. I made an appointment with a friend for afternoon tea tomorrow. Shall we reschedule? Okay. Anyway, we'll have plenty of opportunities in the future, right, stars? Fu Xingxing glanced at her and said, you really know how to express yourself. As she spoke, she followed suit and smiled obsequiously, yes. This could be considered as an indirect promise to go shopping together tomorrow. On the second day at a well-known clothing store. Fu Ruirui took a very serious turn, then selected the target and said with a few fingers, give us these 3 things to try. Miss Fu, are you sure you want these 3 pieces of clothing? Said Fu Ruirui, referring to the 3 pieces of clothing selected by Fu Ruirui. One was made of Barbie powder, the other was oversized, and the other was flashy. Not to mention Fu Xingxing, even the nearby clerk couldn't bear to look at them. What? Is there a problem? No. I'll take it down now. If you talk about this high-end brand clothing store, the sound insulation effect is so poor. In the fitting room, while Fu Xingxing was trying on, he heard all the gossip outside. Miss Fu, is this your friend? As she entered, Fu Xingxing guessed. Fu Ruirui must be a regular customer of this store, and all the staff are very familiar with him. Fu Ruirui pretended to be proud and introduced, no. She's my sister. My sister. She repeatedly emphasized. He even deliberately asked, don't we look alike? The salesperson was clearly stunned for a moment, then nodded with a smile and said, like. When you say that, your facial features are very similar. At this moment, Fu Ruirui's phone rang. Wait a moment, I'll tell you later. Fu Ruirui had just left, and the clerk at the back shared with others. How can this be a close sister's? Miss Fu is fair-skinned and beautiful, and looks like a rich aristocrat. That sister is dark-skinned, has zits all over her face, and is also dressed specially. If it weren't for following Miss Fu and leading her in her attire, our store wouldn't even let her in, would it? Yes, ha ha ha. After a while, under the witness of Fu Ruirui and the staff, Fu Xingxing put on 3 sets of clothes one by one. It has to be said that Fu Xingxing, who was already lacking in appearance, has become a clown under the backdrop of these peculiar clothes. The first one appears black, the second one appears fat, and the third one is the most peculiar. He directly transforms Fu Xingxing into a body of 5 or 5, and with the peculiar black and white striped patterns, it is not an exaggeration to say that Fu Xingxing is the zebra of the zoo at this moment. This clothing is obviously not suitable. Before the salesperson spoke, Fu Ruerue snatched the lead and said, "Star, I think these 3 sets of clothes look good. After you wear them, your overall demeanor is different, just like Disney's Runaway Princess. Let's buy these 3 pieces, right? The fugitives are still around." Looking at his extremely ugly self in the mirror, Fu Xingxing nodded happily and said, "Okay. Anyway, it's Fu Ruerue who spends money and has nothing to do with her." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Insufficient Credit Card Limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Insufficient Credit Card Limit. After carefully selecting 3 sets of unattractive clothes, Fu Ruerue began to pair Fu Xingxing with strange shoes and bags in the store. After buying everything, Fu Ruerue was about to pay when she suddenly said, "Star, wait for me a moment. I'll go to the restroom and come right away." Looking at the salesperson again, she looked apologetic and said, "Could you please wait for me a moment too? I will check out when I come back. Please treat my sister first." "All right." The shop assistant nodded but noticed the problem. "Miss Fu, that. The toilet is clearly in the opposite direction." However, Fu Xingxing suddenly spoke up and stopped, saying, "Beauty, I still want to take a look. Could you please take me around?" As he finished, he showed an unintentional smug smile. In the previous life, Fu Xingxing remembered clearly. Fu Ruerue invited her to go shopping, not only picking out ugly clothes, but also taking the opportunity to go to the bathroom and hang Fu Xingxing here all day. Fu Xingxing didn't have the money to pay the bill, so she didn't answer the phone and had to wait until it was dark. And she went out to eat, drink, and have fun with her friends, and even posted on social media. Afterwards, she casually said, "Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Star, I forgot. I'm sorry, my phone automatically turned off, I really didn't mean to. I really didn't see it. Don't be angry." But now, Fu Xingxing is reborn, everything is different. Fu Ruerue pretended to go to the bathroom but actually fled the scene. She just answered the phone and asked the good sisters to go out with her. But as soon as he got into the driver's car, Fu Ruerue touched his pocket and said, "It's over. My phone is missing. Flipping through my bag and searching everywhere, I couldn't find my phone anywhere." As she returned to the clothing store, she couldn't find the figure of Fu Xingxing. In a hurry, she grabbed the previous clerk and asked, "Where is my sister?" The shop assistant seemed to have anticipated Fu Ruerue's arrival, and she quickly replied, "That lady just left for something. By the way, she asked me to give you this." As she spoke, the salesperson handed Fu Ruerue her phone. As she took the phone, Fu Ruerue couldn't help but wonder. She left so easily. "Have you returned all the things you bought?" Just as I was daydreaming, the salesperson just spoke up and said, "By the way, Miss Fu, should I show you the bill for your consumption this time? After all, the bill has not been settled yet." Fu Xingxing, that woman took her clothes. No need. Fu Ruerue handed over his credit card directly, swiped the card directly. How much money can there be for just a few clothes? No need to look. But soon, Fu Ruerue was shocked. After several unsuccessful attempts, she was told by the salesperson, "I'm sorry, Miss Fu, your card limit is insufficient. Could you please replace it with a new one?" Insufficient credit limit. How could it be? Fu Ruerue sneered coldly, his expression full of disdain. Because her credit card was a gift from her parents to her 18-year-old adult, and the credit limit exceeded 1 million at the time of opening the card. Only a few sets of clothes, how could it be over the limit? Really, Miss Fu, we have tried several times and it does indicate that the credit card limit is insufficient. Fu Ruerue's first reaction was, "It must be that your machine is malfunctioning. Try again." The result is still a failure. What kind of shabby shop are you? Fu Ruerue almost cursed. Fortunately, The salesperson quickly printed out the consumption bill and handed it over. "Miss Fu, would you like to take a look at the bill first?" When she received the bill, Fu Ruerue secretly called out, "What kind of bill is this? Why is it so long? It's not an exaggeration, it needs to be over 1 meter." Looking at the bill again, Fu Ruerue was completely stunned. He had no confidence just now and stuttered when he spoke, "How come there are so many things?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. A Tooth for a Tooth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. A Tooth for a Tooth. Fu Ruerue carefully looked at the bill and found that there were over 100 different types of clothes and shoes, with a total amount of about 5 million yuan. No wonder even a credit card was not enough. How many bodies does she have? How many feet? Can you put on so many clothes and shoes? Upon closer inspection, the clothes vary in size from S to L. What exactly is she doing? In a hurry, Fu Ruerue immediately called Fu Xingxing, intending to question. But the other party didn't give her any chance at all. The message coming from the other end of the phone was, "Sorry, the number you dialed is turned off." At this time, in an orphanage, the children happily took over the new shoes and clothes and said, "Thank you, sister." The dean on the side couldn't help but ask, "Madam, you're really wasting money on buying such expensive clothes for our child. Normal clothing donations are also affordable." Although the donor refused to disclose his name and wore a mask today, judging from his body shape and voice, he is only under 20 years old and has bought all famous brands. The dean couldn't help but sigh. With this set of clothes, at least 5,000 starts. Although they are orphans, they are qualified to wear good clothes. At that time, Fu Xingxing seemed to say something with emotion, but later it developed into her promise to the children. In a blink of an eye, it reached that evening. When Fu Ruerue arrived at the Fu family mansion, she was exhausted. Today, she originally wanted to mess Fu Xingxing, but stealing a chicken didn't erode the rice. She ended up losing both her wife and soldiers. Losing more than 5 million yuan, and even being complained about by her good friend for raising pigeons. Speaking of this 5 million, Fu Ruerue was full of anger. She finally contacted her elder brother Fu Zirui and paid the money. When we got home again, we were told by our aunt, Miss Star. She came back early, and after dinner, she went back to her room. So, Fu Ruerue stormed straight to Fu Xingxing's room and angrily knocked on the door, saying, "Star. Fu Xingxing, open the door for me. Quick." Fu Xingxing, who opened the door, lazily said with an attitude that nothing had happened, "What's wrong?" She can learn all of this from the previous life's Fu Ruerue. She also asked what was wrong. It's already this time, how dare she pretend to be confused? After a sneer, it was the first time Fu Ruerue had turned her face at Fu Xingxing and said, "Fu Xingxing. I was kind enough to take you shopping, why didn't you leave without saying hello? I waited for you for half a day." In fact, what she was waiting for was the transfer from her elder brother Fu Zirui. Due to the WeChat limit, there was a problem with this money and it was finally received. Fu Xingxing didn't panic at all, because she was already prepared. "You said the opposite, right? You said to go to the bathroom, I went to find it, you're not even there. You left without saying hello." Still relying on Fu Xingxing. If it weren't for Fu Xingxing's early preparation to secretly touch and hide her phone, would Fu Ruerue turn around? Fu Ruerue felt guilty and immediately changed the topic to another one. "Then when I called you, why didn't you answer?" "Ah. Did you call me?" Fu Xingxing pretended not to know and went inside to find her phone. When she saw dozens of unanswered calls, she immediately exchanged an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. "Oh. I'm sorry, my phone automatically turned off, I really didn't mean to. I really didn't see it. Ruerue, don't be angry. From the language content to the tone of speech, Fu Xingxing strives to recreate the previous life of Fu Ruirui. Sure enough, Fu Ruirui was so angry that she forgot to manage her facial expressions. She raised her voice uncontrollably in anger and shouted, "So, how do you explain the incident of flashing my credit card?" End of this chapter.